to share stage with me. So I think there's nothing left for me to speak. So after I got to know that Dr. Samir Kamath is also sharing this stage, I had to cut down my script to half because whatever we speak is basically kind of conceptualized and initiated by the DRDO. So I will try and remain different from that because he is the one who is actually the master on technology. But what is important is, as far as the future battlefield is concerned, is the era of jostling and competition. The long peace is declining and comprehensive conflicts are on the rise. Means technology is going galore. Means wherever you want, you can use the technology today. Over 50 ongoing conflicts and more than 100 nations. I used to call it 90, but I was corrected, it's more than 100 now. And Ukraine battlefield, especially we are watching closely because it is the living lab in terms of the conditions what we are having along our borders. So drones are stalking the armor columns, EW is jamming the radios, precision fires are reaching much beyond 100 kilometers range, info campaigns win wars even before a single shell lands. So if these are the situation we are facing, I'll just give out 3 Ds which are changing the war scenario today. Firstly, the democratization, that is the newest technology coming in, and has already been brought out that the platform alone is not relevant. It has to have number of layers supported by this democratized phenomena, that is AI, quantum, robotics, auto system, DEW, that is direct energy weapons, cyber tools, etc. Especially in the gray zone, these play a very important role. So the platforms may be there for a conventional when you have a contact and kinetic battle. But what happens to the other 3 quadrants? Who fights these battles? So these are the new players who have come in now. Diffuse, geographically independent, but dependent. I'll explain it later. Demography, you have citizen soldiers, you have guardian force, you have merchants who are playing both sides and maybe selling the equipment to both sides to orchestrate the war or facilitate the war. As we look at the Indian context, if I have to look into Indian context, by virtue of you having the 2.5 front challenges or much more than that, we have to still make sure that whatever technology is coming in, it should still form the adjust itself within the 5 generations of warfare what we are having. It means the trench warfare, it will remain true to us. In the trench warfare, you will still have the robo-mule and the GS mule moving together because that's what is the requirement. And starting going to indirect fire, maneuver warfare, hybrid warfare, and going to the latest generation 5 warfare. So these 5 warfares we have to deal with. Decade of transformation has already been given out. That also we are working on the 5 pillars of transformation. And all these 5 pillars, if I can say that, requires technology to kind of upgrade itself. I'm happy to know that Industry 4.0 has moved to Industry 5.0. What was 4.0? 4.0 when the AI, quantum and all those being talked about. But the 5.0 has realized that the rebalancing is required to bring in the human element. That is, technology is there not to replace human but to support them. What it means, it's a melange of the ecosystem and the technology. Both have to meet. Now, why it is important for us, especially for the Indian Army, because as for the Mask of War book is concerned by Carl Bilder, it says the USPs which are there for the Air Force is of course the technology and for the Navy its platform. But in case of Army, it's always the word over is the human resource. That's why this Industry 5.0 is music to my ears, because we are looking at human-centric technology adoption. We look at humans amplified by AI. Therefore, the creativity, the empathy factor, problem solving, turning data into decisions must remain as a kind of a control of the human being. There is another thing called as technology generation 7. The 7.0 is of course the new mobiles which are coming of that generation, the computers of that generation, video game consoles, and 7 nanomillion technology for microchip. I think Anurag will be able to correct if I am wrong. 7nm stands for that. Okay. So what I am saying, all these combined together, and this is all is on the table for me to kind of integrate, interpret, and thereafter make sure that the Indian Army gets to gain from it. Before moving ahead, I would like to just clarify as to what is the melange or convergence of the technology and the geography. As far as India is concerned, by virtue of our land borders, the way we are having it, land will remain the currency of victory. And if you take your mind back to the meeting which took place between President Trump and Putin, Alaska, they also discuss about the land only. So, therefore, the technology must give me dividend on land for destruction, occupation, eviction, or any action which is required to be carried out even in the virtual realm. So, what is the end state we are visualizing? Smart boots on ground, share space with bots. Ears on the net, that is electronic, ELINT, cyber sensor, communication, quantum encryption. So ears on the net with the eagle on the arm, starting from the FPVs to the logistic drones to the UCAV. Moving ahead, mind in the cloud, eyes in the sky. Means we have to make sure that the cloud-centric warfare has to take place, but I always talk about cloud-centric and network-centric has to have a mix. Because the battles can get isolated. Battles may have to be fought without the presence of technology. You may get kind of a devoid of the technology. Even in that condition, you should be able to fight the battle. So it has to be a melange between the two. So mind in the cloud, eyes in the sky, because ISR is most important to shorten the kill chain. Decisions at the edge. Again, as you are aware that our Honorable Raksha Mantri just inaugurated at Jaisalmer the edge data server. What it means, the data-centric warfare we are taking as forward as possible and then connecting through the networking so that we have a more flexibility in carrying out operations whether it's regional or its complete front. So when we have the decisions at the edge with smart kill chain execution. Now moving ahead, steal with stealth and shield on the wrist. Steal with this stealth when we talk about basically the signatures which are being given by these larger platforms. That makes them more vulnerable, visible. Therefore, as far as they are concerned, they have to kind of make sure that some kind of a stealth comes in. Shield on the wrist, of course, at this point of time, as we know, that 12 lakh population, if it is there of the Indian Army, everyone, where is he? What is his condition? His biological condition, his location, everything counts. So digital enablers, biosensors to detect injury, all these things are required. Moving ahead, so where are we? That's what is something important to know. As far as legacy systems are concerned, they are here to stay because you cannot change them so fast. It's like a social change. You have to have a 30-30-30 phenomena. So if that be the case, the oldest legacy system will at least stay for next 5 to 7 years. So what it means that we need to kind of empower it with whatever kitting or modification we can do it. But as for the new platforms are concerned, we have to have patience. The second issue is infrastructure gaps in terms of physical and digital. As we are aware, the network for spectrum has still not seen the day of light completely. It's still a very mature state, but it will take some time. The satellites aspirations which are there with all the three services, that will still take some time to mature. Skill deficit. As far as 2027 is concerned, it is claimed that 2.3 million jobs will be there as far as artificial intelligence related. But the talent will be only half of it, that is 1.2 million talent pool. If that be the case, what it means? That in case the Indian Army needs to outsource its requirement, the cost will be very, very high. Therefore, it is important for us to start today, and from all schools everywhere, we need experts in AI even in Indian Army, because we may not be able to outsource because the demand is going to be high and the talent is going to be low. Cultural resistance, of course, this is something which is important for us to understand. Comfort zone is of the last qualification attained, and that is something which will always remain that way. Procurement process. In this year of reforms, this has been a game changer, and as you are aware, the DPM Defense Procurement Manual has been released this month only, and the defense acquisition procedure, as you are aware, is moving on the fast pace. By December end, we should be able to finalize it, and it should be applicable from the next financial year onwards. This is a very, very encouraging sign. Import dependency, since it's a ratcheting effect and one technology has to counter others, therefore, till the time the R&D base is not enlarged, and R&D base doesn't come in 2 days. If you spend only 100 crores vis-a-vis 1000 crores in pharmaceuticals, that means we need to look into it very deeply, that how are we looking at it. Therefore, critical components will always have to be imported, as I see, for next 4 to 5 years minimum. If that be the case, then import dependency will continue. Cyber and data vulnerability, of course, that's again a restricting effect. What happens that it restricts us to share a lot of space which we could have shared in kind of having a collaborative phenomena. And that is where we are working in silos. It's a challenge for us, but we are trying to open up. As far as the Atmanirbharta is concerned, part of the Jai call given by Prime Minister when he addressed us on 15th of September this year, Jai is basically jointness, A is Atmanirbharta, and I is innovation. And the era has come that we need to have an accelerated innovation phenomena. So we are having IDEX, Make 2, MSME, startups also being given a lot of support system, micro entrepreneurs also being looked at in forward areas. If I can just say that Indian Army as such, if you look at the complete starting from when it came in 2019, approximately 2.1 lakh crore rupees have been committed or invested for R&D and resultant procurement. So this is what is the kind of money which we are putting into it. So it's a major bet, but how it comes, we are not sure. And that's why we have a patience and we are looking at spiral development. So what's the action plan? Firstly, it's a cultural shift which is required. I'll just cover in 5 P's. The first one, of course, the procedures. That is, we called as doctrines, TTPs, which we all are well aware. I'll not cover much on this because this is known to all. I'll come straightway to process. As the process is concerned, we have in last 1 year now enabled 16 technology clusters where we have the principal staff officer and director generals nominated with their phone numbers, email, everything given out. So anywhere in the system wants any kind of idea, we have the Army Design Bureau, his numbers also there and our numbers are there. We straightway connect to that Lieutenant General and straightway we can take that discussion forward. Of course, Army Design Bureau, ATB is also known. R&D, as I've spoken, for the new technology, the emergency procurement which has been given for year 2025 by Raksha Mantri after our Ops Sindhu 1.0, 70% of the capital procurement is going for the new age technology. As for the patents are concerned, Indian Army is woken up late and about 100 plus patents have now been applied and 1/4 have already been received. And I think there is a requirement for us to move this patent process in a much faster manner. Otherwise, there are so many people who will be able to take on this race, and that is where we need to look into. As for the people is concerned, since I told you that Army is the human-centric, this is something which is a major KRA for me. And for last 3 years, we have been giving a call for the techno commanders and not the only tactical commanders. And Subrata Saha had also come and addressed at that point of time. And what he said, decade of transformation may for the years 2024 and 25, we have the era of technology absorption. So it is towards that. And what we have done now, that we have a number of MOUs with the IITs in terms of studies, development, research and development, but the manpower was less. So even the MTech courses from 65 now we have made 95 this year. So that we have adequate manpower going back to the IITs and acting as a kind of a catalyst as well as a via media or a liaison between the two to understand the Army's requirement and interpreting into the technical manner. Interns, for the first time, Honorable Raksha Mantri has sanctioned about 75 interns we will be able to hire and paid internship so that we get to gain from them and they get to gain from us. That is what we are looking at. And outsourcing that we are working out in a big way. The government and semi-government agencies are coming up and they are empowering the Indian Army like BISAG, MITI and in Ops Sindhu 1.0 also. A lot of, if I can say that, MITI helped us in a big way by moving those resources in terms of GPUs, etc., which were required to carry out the predictive analysis. As for the humanware is concerned, the NDA entry is being accordingly modified. Yesterday only I had a presentation. We're looking at kind of giving them the BTech degree which is required, not for all, but for those who are required. The technical entry, which is TS entry, that we are now working out well. And AKEC, that is Army Education Corps, has been completely now revamped. And we are now getting direct AI specialists and cyber specialists who are coming. So we are looking at this, that is entry point, and we are also going back to the government or proposing that for 4 to 6 years we should be able to hire the experts as a uniform personnel and thereafter after the deputation they go back. As of today, Indian Army is giving deputation to a large organizations, but not accepting deputation. I think this is the high time that we must look at the other way around also. Peter Drucker had said the best way to predict future is to create it. So for last 1 year, all the war games what we had named it multi-domain operations for the front and with the command side. And since it has to be the future, so we said